Hey there, folks. Tonight, we're diving into a topic that's a little, shall we say, heavy. We're talking about war. But not just the battles and the bombs. We're going behind the scenes, looking at the forces that might actually benefit from conflict. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, are you suggesting that some people actually want war? Well, let's just say that for some, war is good for business. And business, as they say, is booming. Think about it. Wars cost money, lots of it, and that money goes somewhere. It goes to weapons manufacturers, private military contractors, and all sorts of industries that profit from conflict. So tonight, we're going to follow the money. We're going to expose the forces that might be pushing us towards war, not out of some noble cause, but for the sake of profit. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Remember Adam Smith, the invisible hand of the free market guy? Well, sometimes that hand looks a lot less invisible and a lot more like it's clutching a fistful of cash, especially when it comes to war. See, the thing about war is, it creates demand. Demand for weapons, for supplies, for reconstruction, and where there's demand, well, you know the rest. Businesses rush in to fill that void, often at a hefty profit. But here's the kicker. These businesses don't just exist in a vacuum, they have lobbyists. They make campaign contributions. They have the ear of powerful people. And sometimes, those powerful people might just be inclined to listen, especially if it means lining their own pockets. Now, I'm not saying that every war is started by greedy corporations. That would be simplistic and, frankly, a bit insulting to the complexities of geopolitics. But what I am saying is that we can't ignore the role that profit plays in perpetuating conflict. Take the U.S. military-industrial complex, for example. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot. But what does it actually mean? Well, it refers to the cozy relationship between the government, the military, and the defense industry. Think of it as a three-way friendship bracelet. But instead of yarn, it's woven together with billions of dollars. And like any good friendship bracelet, everyone involved benefits. The military gets its weapons, the defense industry gets its profits, and the government, well, they get to look tough on defense. Everyone wins. Except, of course, for the people who actually have to fight the wars. Now, you might be thinking, John, this all sounds a bit conspiracy theory-ish, doesn't it? And you know what? You're not entirely wrong. But here's the thing. Even President Eisenhower, a five-star general who knew a thing or two about war, warned about this very thing. In his farewell address in 1961, he cautioned against the growing influence of what he called the military-industrial complex. He worried that this unholy alliance could potentially prioritize profit over peace, influencing government policy, and ultimately leading to more wars. And you know what? He wasn't exactly wrong. In the decades since, the U.S. has been involved in a whole lot of conflicts. And who's profited from those conflicts? You guessed it, the military-industrial complex. Coincidence? I'll let you be the judge. Section 5. The military-industrial complex, a tangled web. So, who are the key players in this military-industrial complex? Well, it's not just the big defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Raytheon, although they certainly play a starring role. It's also the politicians who receive campaign contributions from these companies. It's the lobbyists who wine and dine government officials, whispering sweet nothings about the need for more weapon systems. It's the think tanks that produce reports justifying military intervention. It's a whole ecosystem of interconnected interests, all working together to keep the money flowing and the bombs dropping. And it's not just an American phenomenon either. This kind of cozy relationship between government, military, and industry exists in many countries around the world. Section 6, the case of Vietnam, a textbook example. Now let's get specific, shall we? Let's talk about the Vietnam War. Now, I'm not here to debate the ins and outs of that particular conflict, but what we can say is that it was a boon for the military-industrial complex. The U.S. government spent billions upon billions of dollars on the war effort, much of it going to defense contractors. And what did they get for their money? A protracted, bloody conflict that achieved, well, not a whole lot. But hey, at least the shareholders were happy, right? I mean, that's what really matters, isn't it? The profits, not the people. Section 7, Beyond the Battlefield, the Economics of War. But here's the thing. The costs of war go far beyond the battlefield. There's the human cost, of course, which is immeasurable. But there's also the economic cost. Wars drain national treasuries, divert resources from essential services, and leave economies in shambles. And who do you think ends up footing the bill for all this? That's right, folks. You and me, the taxpayers. We're the ones who end up paying for these endless wars, both in dollars and in lost opportunities. Section 8. The people's burden paying the price. Think about it. That money that's being spent on bombs and missiles? That could be going towards education, healthcare, infrastructure, things that actually benefit society. But instead, it's being funneled into the coffers of the military-industrial complex. And for what? So that some CEO can buy another yacht? So that some politician can pat themselves on the back for being tough on defense? It's enough to make you want to scream, isn't it? Section 9, breaking the cycle. Knowledge is power. So what can we do about it? Well, the first step is awareness. We need to educate ourselves about the forces that are driving us towards war. We need to understand how the military-industrial complex operates and how it influences our government. We need to follow the money. We need to ask questions. We need to hold our elected officials accountable for their decisions. Section 10. A call to action from apathy to advocacy. Because here's the thing, folks. Apathy is not an option. We can't just sit back and let the military-industrial complex dictate our foreign policy. We need to raise our voices. We need to demand better. We need to choose peace over profit. It's time to break the cycle of war. It's time to invest in our future, not in more weapons. It's time to create a world where peace is not just a dream, but a reality. And it all starts with us. Thank you.